Good morning. Today is the 14th of Cheshvan, the 29th of October, and the shir is in memory and the Ilui Nishmas of my grandfather Moshe Aryeh ben Betzalo and of Mashiach ben David, who is not the Mashiach ben David, but he's a very important Mashiach ben David. Okay, so let's start. We're going to look at from the first reading of Parashas Vayeira, and here we find. I know. Okay. And in it we find one of the most important verses describing transformation of a person. Avram and Sarah are told that they will have a child. And Sarah laughs. She laughs at this, and the usual understanding is that she laughs because she's mocking it, or scoffing, at least. The verse says, "Vatitzchak Sarah b'kirba leimor, achrei vloti hayta li edna ve'adoni zaken." So Sarah laughed inside and said to herself, obviously, "After I have withered, shall I have a refinement or a delicate? My skin will become delicate, and my husband is old." This is actually a verse of transformation, because it's not just that Sarah is, the way to understand this is not just that she's laughing, but she's laughing in order to create the transformation. That's how we understand in Chassidus. What's going on here? There's a huge question that we have about whether we can even change. Can anything change? Can a person knows himself, and by the time he's 30, 40, he knows himself. He knows what his limitations are. He knows what he's like. And he has the question of, can anything ever change? Can I ever be different? Or am I destined to go through life just fighting daily battles every day, trying to somehow not do the wrong thing, do the right thing? Is it all in the end just a change in minute details that I have in my life, or is it possible to actually change? So this question is one of the central questions in Hasidic psychology, and the answer that's given is that change is possible, like the type of change that Sarah here is describing. And what kind of change is she saying? That I will be refined. Hayta li edna means, as Rashi says, that my skin will become unwrinkled. Now, what is the skin in the psyche? What does that represent? So the way we understand this is that the skin represents what we call character. Character means it's not my deeper essence, and it's not just my behavior. It's something in between. Why do we say this? Because the skin is like a medium that's in between the essence of the person, the way he is inside himself, and his external garments, which represent his thought, speech, and action. So the skin is the medium in between. And Sarah is saying, after I have withered, meaning after my character is withered, it's already shaped in a certain way, can I have a refinement, meaning making the skin delicate again, without wrinkles, changing the skin? And the answer is ve'adoni zaken. And the answer is that this is possible if I have an old husband. We have to understand what the old husband is. Each one of us has to have an old husband. So I can change, but on condition that I have an old husband. So how is this explained? That if a person believes that they can change themselves entirely, that is delusional. Meaning if a person thinks that they can change their nature, right, that they will be, instead of being tall, they'll be short. Instead of being short, they'll be tall. Instead of having blue eyes, they'll have black eyes. These things are delusional. It's also true about who I am. Meaning, if I think that I am capable of suddenly having an IQ of 180, that's not going to happen. If I can't draw and I believe that somehow I'm going to become Picasso, that's delusional. if I don't have a musical talent and I think that somehow I'm going to have a musical talent, these things they don't happen. In the same way, if I have a tendency, a very strong tendency to get angry, then to uproot that is impossible. You can't uproot something like that. You're born with it, you're stuck with it. You have to do something with it. What can you change? You can change your character. And to change your character means that this is what's called in Chassidus the nature of my traits, or teva hamidot. That's what it's called in Hebrew. There's midotav hativiot, there's my innate character traits, and there's the nature of my innate character traits, which means how they are presented. So for instance, someone who has a very strong affinity to anger, to bloodshed, the sages say you can't uproot it. Instead, what do you need to do? You need to take that tendency that you have and channel it in a positive way. What could be a positive way? You could be a mohel, and you could be a doctor, and you could be a shechter. It could be many things. You have to channel it. But this is just the tip of the whole topic. Really, what needs to happen is that on the one hand, you have to know what your limits are. On the other hand, you have to be willing to believe that Hashem can change you. So this is very important. I cannot change myself. So these two things, they're called lowliness and self-nullification. My lowliness means that I accept the way that I am. I have to learn how to accept how I am. This is who I am. These are my problems, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. This is what I have. On the other hand, I have complete nullification before Hashem, who can certainly change me. He could even change my nature, but I can't. I can't do this. There's no act that I can do that will make that happen. So I have to live these two extremes of, on the one hand, accepting myself entirely. It's called self-acceptance. And on the other hand, having self-nullification, belief in God that can change everything. And I have to, in my entire life, move between these two states of accepting myself and believing at the same time that Hashem is capable of every change. And then, from that dynamic, the change of character happens. It could be that the change of character would be so great that the person, you won't even know about them, that they have a tendency, for instance, to be angry. That they channel it all the way, all the time in such a positive way, the character looks different. So what Sarah is telling us here is that I can change, but only if I am between these two tensions in the soul, in the psyche, of self-nullification, believing that Hashem can change me, not me, and accepting with lowliness my current state. What does it mean that my husband is old? It says that an old person, zaken, zekana chokhmah, is a person who has wisdom. And wisdom is the feeling of self-nullification. So what's happening here in this verse? And Sarah, on the one hand, it says, she's laughing as it were. And the laughter is almost like an acceptance. It's a bitter laughter. It's what we call bitterness. Bitterness is the sense of lowliness. I'm withered. She accepts that fact. That's the lowliness in this verse. But then she also says, Adoni Zaken, I have an old husband. I also have self-nullification. And it's from these two, moving between these two states throughout life, that a person is able to actually change. And the change that comes is first and foremost a change in character, in the skin, in that which is between the garments, which are our behavior, and our inner self, which is the way that we were born, our innate nature. That between the two is able to change, the character changes, and in every one of the character traits there can be a refinement. The person can become an upright individual, a refined individual with whatever character traits that they have, because that is possible to change. Thanks for joining. Hope to see you tomorrow morning. It will not be at the same time. I don't know exactly when. I don't know. I'm scheduled to fly to New York, and I'll be in New York about 9 o'clock. So maybe it will be the same time. I'll try. We'll see how it works. If not, I'll just post to Facebook. You can watch it there. All the best.